What if you were trapped in your dreams forever? You'd probably imagine a world where you could fly or become invisible or have any wish instantly granted. Wow. But what if it was actually more like an endless nightmare that you couldn't wake up from? How long would it take before you lost your mind? Could you even lose your mind if you never woke up? And are we all doomed to spend eternity in our own personal hellscapes once we die? Or is there something far worse? Let's find out. You see, our brains don't know the difference between dreams and reality, only we do. Carl Jung believed nightmares were a way for our subconscious to express repressed emotions and trauma. He also believed the root of many nightmares lay in unresolved conflicts in our waking lives. But what if Jung was wrong? What if nightmares are simply our brain's way of ensuring we never stop dreaming? After all, who wants to stop dreaming when they can experience terrifying monsters and other horrors that can never actually hurt them? Some believe this is exactly what happened to Edgar Allan Poe's beloved wife, Virginia. Will we wander our dream houses for all of eternity without ever finding peace? Or is there something far worse? Unfortunately, we may never know. She began having strange dreams where she would walk around her house, but every morning she would wake up in her bed. Eventually, she stopped waking up altogether. Instead, she stayed in a perpetual state of sleep and wandered the halls of her dream house forever. This could explain why people who suffer from sleep paralysis often experience terrifying hallucinations. Essentially, our brains are keeping us in our dreams by frightening us. So if your brain tricked you into thinking you were awake when you really weren't, you'd be trapped in a never-ending dream. Wow. Our brains may also wake us up if they detect certain chemicals such as adenosine, which builds up in our brains while we're awake and causes feelings of tiredness. But what if this process could be reversed? What if instead of waking us up, adenosine caused us to dream even more intensely? This raises some interesting questions. If we all have control over our dreams, why do some people have nightmares? The monster is now much closer and it's hot. Fetid breath can be smelled. You try to scream but no sound comes out. You thrash around wildly, but you're completely paralyzed. Your heart pounds in your chest. Your skin grows cold. You can feel the monster's claws digging into your flesh. Just as you're about to lose consciousness, you suddenly wake up, drenched in sweat. You realize it was just a dream and fall back asleep. But the moment you do, the monster is back and it's hungrier than ever. And if our dreams are controlled by our brains, why do we sometimes wake up from them? It would rip your soul from your body and feast upon your essence. But this isn't a scene from some horror movie. It's what happens to us every time we go to sleep. In fact, according to ancient texts like the Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, our souls would leave our bodies at night to wander the underworld. Similarly, many indigenous cultures believe dreams are a way for the soul to communicate with the spirit world. You're walking through a dark forest. You know you should wake up soon because you remember dying in your sleep. But every time you try to wake up, you go deeper into the dream. Suddenly, a horrifying monster appears and chases you. You run until your lungs burn and collapse under a nearby tree. You're too scared to go to sleep, but then you remember the monster isn't real, it's just a dream. So you drift off to sleep, and the monster slowly begins to approach you. In order for this to happen, the line between dreams and reality would need to become blurred, which brings us to the question, do we ever really wake up? According to Stephen Hawking, when we go to sleep, our brains essentially shut down. Everything we experience while asleep is nothing but our brains reacting to signals sent by neurons firing electrical impulses. When we dream, these impulses activate certain areas of the brain, causing us to experience dreams. This means our dreams are ultimately controlled by our brains. So in order to wake up from a dream, one would simply need to send their brain the appropriate signals. But what if your brain began sending you signals while you were dreaming that told you to keep dreaming? Well, let's start with nightmares. While most dreams are relatively meaningless and random, some people experience recurring nightmares that seem to have a greater purpose. As for why we wake up from dreams, it's likely a result of external factors such as noises or changes in our environment. Imagine you're stuck in a nightmare you can't wake up from. If this cycle repeated over and over for eternity, you'd eventually become so exhausted you wouldn't be able to resist the monster. So what if instead of communicating with the spirit world, our souls were trapped there? This raises a horrifying thought. Are we all doomed to become like Virginia after we die?